back, everyone. We are super excited that you tuned back in. You know, one of the things that we want to make sure to always be raw about and clear about is the work hard and the play hard and the balance of. Aaron, do you ever feel, I don't want to say burnout. Like, I feel like burnout is real bad and real negative. Mm-hmm. But do you ever feel like it's just an off day? Like, I'm tired. And how do you push through?
I think everybody has off days, man. There's different things that you can do depending on what you have to do. I think it depends on your responsibilities for that day.
Sure.
Do you have a full schedule? Do you have a pretty liberal schedule? You could do some stuff if you have a lot of stuff to do. When I was doing 75 hard, I did not want to do a lot of stuff. Every time I left the gym, I did feel a lot better. I felt a lot more energetic. It kind of revived me a little bit. And then you have coffee and Red Bull,
right,
as well.
Speaking of,
yeah, exactly. But if you have less responsibilities, maybe it's something where you go, hey, I'm going to take the afternoon off and go do this and take my kids somewhere, go have some fun, or go to Top Golf or whatever. So it's, I think, premise based on your day.
Which I think is pretty good, being able to be mindful of that. I think that it's also important within that to make sure that you're always working at a high level or at your best. And when you don't feel that way, you've got to be able to recognize it and either change your mindset or change your surrounding one way or the other, which is not easy to do, especially if, we get the luxury of the current season of our business is not full swing in some aspects. So we're not installing as much as we would normally install throughout the year. But I would say where we are in full swing and probably work even harder is honing in on our processes and making sure that we, this is our setup time. This is working backstage before the concert and all that kind of stuff, and tweaking and perfecting everything. So that way we know that when we do get into the busy season, that we can run full out. And so this is when we take time as a business to really, number one, recharge. I think that it's important to do that. But then number two, like I said, get into that planning, because when you're in the heat of battle, that's not the time to have a plan. If we, in our business, we
it is the time to have a plan, just not be planning.
Oh, you got to have your plan before. Is exactly what I'm saying. Where if we were to get into a storm season, for example, and we don't have a plan on what we're going to do, that's not the time to create the plan. You don't have time to create the plan. You've got to have
chaos. You just got to be working at that point, moving forward. So, what do you do when you have a off day?
There's a lot of different things. So, number one, I try to, I typically, that's when I'm getting up and moving around a little bit more. So again, I try to change the scenery. We're lucky enough to be able to, I might go grab a pool game with someone. I try not to be a distraction to other people or something along those lines.
How's that go for you?
A game of pool. Are you making fun of me because I said a pool game? Or because you win at pool and
I win at pool.
Sometimes. Yeah. We got to play battle putt more often.
Pretty much all the time.
I got to say. We got to play battle putt more often. I'm just going to be real honest.
Let's just pick up the camera and we'll go out here and play a game.
I don't want to do that because I don't like playing pool against you because it's not fun. I don't. It's not fun.
But no, you're right. We are blessed enough to be able to go do some stuff. But I mean, you can do that stuff. Maybe not pool, but anybody.
No, for me, it's changing. It's changing the scenery. It's going and having a conversation. Actually, in a lot of ways, for me, a lot like my kind of relaxation place is in service. So when people see me going around and maybe I'm taking trash out or working on a special project of, putting something together or something along those lines, like that is me when I'm like, all right, I've got to break out of the funk that I'm in or whatever the case is. So acts of service for me are actually something that really helps me kind of break out of either a funky mood or just kind of feeling off.
All right. Well, you know what? We talk about work a lot. We've got a lot of business podcasts and stuff, and we are work hard, play harder. What do you do outside the office for fun?
So for me, we're a pretty active family. Number one, I love being with my family the most. two boys, teenagers, Jackson and Preston, and they're both pretty active sports, football, basketball, track, those sorts of things. We're trying to golf more together, which my kids are both a lot like me, and golf is a terribly fun game for us.
I like how you did that. Terribly fun.
Exactly. No, but we tried to do that a bunch more this year. But we love to get out on go-karts and things like that. Or we actually had a fair amount of camping trips where we just kind of did some hiking. And actually, one trip we literally just went through some cornhole and stayed by the camper to watch college football games throughout the day. Just again, kind of in a different set of scenery, but. We like to be active and get out and look at different things. My favorite thing to do is to water ski, which I don't get to do a whole lot. I get to pull the kids water skiing and tubing and all that, but I love
You know what you should do is just next time you want to go water skiing so you can water ski, just have Mark tag along, and then he could drive you guys while you guys skied.
That is I'm pretty good at skiing. I've been raised on the water, not afraid of a lot of things. We had the opportunity this year. You got to come out. Durango, our producer, came out. Mark came out, and we said, "Hey, let's take an afternoon. We're gonna go do some skiing and tubing, and just kind of hang out and chill and everything," which was a lot of fun.
It was
until I was like, "Hey, can any of you drive the boat and I'll ski?" And Mark's like, "Yeah, I can drive." And he said it with a lot of confidence. A lot of confidence. I'm coming for you after this story, Durango. We're going to talk about you jumping in the water. Do we have footage of that? That would be fun.
I probably got some photos somewhere.
Got some photos. But so I take off, or I get in the water. We start to go, and as a skier that knows what he's doing. The second somebody puts the throttle down, if they know how to pull you as a skier.
Yeah.
Because if they throw the hammer down, they know what they're doing. If they slowly ramp it up, this guy or gal doesn't know what he's doing. And that was Mark. So that was my first sign. But then, as he's trying to pull me 2 miles an hour to where I couldn't even get on top of the water, and then he came back and got me, took off again and fell in, and he decided to do an entire lake lap.
Now, this is where I'm going to kick in, because sometimes I forget we're shooting podcasts, and so I make a joke about Mark. But what happened is I'm in the boat and Mark's driving, and I volunteered to drive, but Mark's like, "I got this." Adam falls in the water. We'll say it's because of Mark's poor driving.
It was very
I'm
choppy.
I'm kidding. All right, whatever. But anyway, so there's a boat probably 400 yards away, and Mark's just driving out and around, and Adam's back here trying not to drown. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, "What are you doing? He's like, "I gotta go around the boat." I'm like, "Cut it off, dude. Cut it off." And then he does it. He literally goes all the way around, and then Adam had lost the ski. He starts breaking off this way. I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" He's like, "Well, I got to go get the ski." I'm like, "Adam's drowning. Go pick the dude up. And then we'll go pick up the ski." It was ridiculous. So anyway, then we finally made it back your direction.
And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I think I'm done skiing for the rest of the day." We tried once more time. But no, that was a good time. No, that was fun. I love being out on the water and all of that, and hanging out with family and friends, and anything I can do to laugh.
Yeah.
Is important to me.
I agree. That's super important. And I think it's pretty good. Right? Don't you burn a bunch of calories laughing or something? I think I read that in a magazine once. Could be total bullshit.
Yeah, I think it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Probably got to laugh a lot.
We burn a lot of calories in here before the cameras turn on.
Before the cameras start rolling.
Yeah. How about you? What kind of things do you enjoy the most?
The most travel. I just want to travel and eat everything.
Yeah.
I want to go to every country, and I want to go down their random road that's got all the food on it and just eat all of the stuff that they have.
So weird. I love food and interesting food and all that kind of stuff, but this is again where you and I are, I think, a little bit different, where you'd be eating some barbecue covered crickets And I'd
Crickets are good.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
That's here. That's here. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys.
There's a place down the street that sells cricket tacos.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if I would have went to China, like I could have totally caused corona because I would try a bat.
Oh my!
Like
gosh.
I probably wouldn't like it. I probably wouldn't like it, but I'd give it a taste.
And we just got canceled.
Like I would try about any. The only thing I won't eat that like I know. Off the top of my head, I'm sure you could pull some stuff out and be like, "Hey, try this." I'd be like, "No, thank you." But the only thing I won't eat is balut. Have you guys ever seen this?
It can't be worse than the andouillette sausage story.
Yeah, well, I'll get into that. But like, I didn't know how bad that was. I tried it. You know what I mean? But a balut is like a Filipino thing. It's like a 90% hatched egg. And then they crack it open, and it's like a little baby bird with like it's got a couple feathers in the beak.
I've actually had a balut.
Have you?
I didn't eat it, if I'm going to be real honest with you. But this is a 100% true story. My mom and dad and my siblings, my sisters are going to love this. Preston won't eat eggs to this day. Okay. My youngest son will not eat eggs to this day because of the story. That just happened like a year ago, maybe 2. My mom and dad make friends with this Amish couple.
Okay.
They live out in the country. My parents live out in the country, and they make friends with this Amish couple. They've got a grocery store, which is how they met them. And the lady that runs the grocery store, it's the nicest couple. So I want to be clear on that. Nicest couple ever. Yada, yada, yada. My parents buy eggs from them. They give me the eggs. I go to make eggs one morning, and there's a balut. And so because of that, yeah.
So you opened it up, and it was just like a baby.
Yeah.
So you didn't eat it?
No. No.
So Preston saw it, is that what you said?
Yeah. We all saw it.
For people that are listening and not watching, he's trying not to lose his lunch right now. So,
oh my gosh, yeah, that is a true story.
And I don't know the recipe. My dad's wife is Filipino, and my dad went to the Philippines a couple times a year, and he showed them to me. I don't know if they're like fermented or how it works technically over there, but anything like that, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out. Other than that, let's get back to the topic. What I like to do is travel. So like I want to see everything, right? Like this is a big world. Every place you go to has a totally different like culture and feel, and they got different stuff there. They got different foods. They got a lot of different things. All right. I will tell you guys one more story because this is this is just kind of a fun episode, but
the European vacation story.
Yeah. So I went to
again. I'm gonna be subtly sipping my coffee to keep this down.
I went to a European trip. I took my entire family. This is all the points that I had from my previous job. I had all the hotel points and flight points. Like 2-week European vacation, like almost completely paid for. I think I had to pay for the plane tickets were covered, the hotels were covered. I had to pay for 2 nights in Rome for a hotel. That's it.
Which is pretty cool.
It is cool. So we go to England for 4 days. Pretty cool. Like nobody's ever like, oh, the food in England is amazing, you know. But we went over there. It was cool. It was a really cool city. Got to see a lot of cool stuff. Enjoyed it. Took a bullet train under the English Channel or whatever. Got to Paris. We're in Paris, and I was like, all right, now we're talking. Like this is where the food's going to be.
The food capital of the world. Well, I feel like that or Italy. Like you think a lot about food.
Yeah, a little bit of both. But you know, they're supposed to have their things. So I get there, and like I said, like I want to eat all of the stuff that like the locals eat and all of this. And so we go into this cafe. They actually had a cafe, and I don't think this is the one we went to, but if you ever been there, it's called Indiana, which is pretty cool. Like cool. I got pictures by it and stuff. But we're in there, and it's the first meal we're having in France. And the server comes up, and my wife's a very boring eater.
She's chicken nuggets and cheese pizza kind of gal.
Yeah, well, she'll have pepperoni pizza, but it's more like chicken nuggets and chicken fingers with ranch dressing. But she got a plain cheeseburger this time. It's hilarious when she gets a plain cheeseburger, and there's like, this cheeseburger's dry. I'm like, get some condiments on it. Damn. So anyway, she gets a plain cheeseburger. I don't remember what my kids get, probably chicken fingers. And I look, and they have andouillette sausage. right? And I'm like, okay. So I love Cajun food. It's one of my favorite foods. And they have andouille sausage, which is like a French and Caribbean kind of mixture. That's where like the Caribbean and New Orleans Cajun style food comes from.
Right.
So I'm like, this must be the original andouille sausage, which I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
That's
all
where it
right,
came from.
I love andouille sausage.
Have you heard this story before?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I lost $100 on this story.
So anyway.
I hate you, Durango.
Anyway, so I ordered the andouillette sausage, and the server was trying to be sweet, and he was like, he's like, you don't want that. That's what the locals eat. And I'm like, I want what the locals eat. Like, that's what I'm here for. And he's like, all right. So he comes out, and he's
I hope people are Googling andouillette sausage right
Durango, just pop a couple photos of andouillette sausage in
or
here.
not.
Yeah, well, you're not going to watch it. So anyway, he brings it out, and it's like the sausage casing and the cheeseburger and all this other stuff, and it's fine until I cut it open. And I cut it open, but I don't wait long enough. I just cut it open. And
Is this hot, by the way?
yeah, it's a hot sausage. Okay. Yeah. And I eat it, and I'm like, weird texture, and then I smell it.
Ugh.
It smells like poop. Like literal poop. And it's so bad that Whitney's like, oh my God, what does that smell? She couldn't even eat her cheeseburger because it smelled like poop so bad at our table. And I'm like, oh, dude, I can't do this. And so, like, I ended up bringing, I was like, hey, man, I appreciate you tried to tell me. You're right. I'm sorry. Here's the bill. Here's the tip. We're done. We leave. And I start Googling it when I leave. And they're like, basically, the farmers back in the day would sell sheep, and they could sell everything but the lower intestine where the poop sat. So they would soak it in herbs and stuff and then just cut it up and stuff it inside the casing. So it was like literally the poop valve of the sheep. And so they're still serving it today. So pop a picture here because they don't grind it like a normal sausage. Like you'll just see it's like chopped up buttholes right here. And I ate it. And so the longer I thought about it and the more I read, it was making me like sick. I'm like, oh my God, I just ate poop. And so
I'm reminded in this moment of Joe Dirt when they're on a radio show and he talks about the blue meteor that comes down and, and everyone that's listening, the viewing audience are like, it's poop.
He's eating French fries and ketchup off of it. He goes, you got your big piece of space poopy. He goes, well, it's a peanut. It's a space peanut. Yeah, but anyway,
this is why I won't do that.
Yeah,
when we travel together, you do recommend some and again, I'm only recently expanding my horizons when it comes to eating, and mostly because of my wife. And but ever since I heard that story, like if you recommend something, like we went to a Cajun place when we were in Pensacola, and you recommended something. I don't know if you realize this. It was boudin. I Googled it under the table to see what it was before I would eat it.
I brought boudin in here before because it's pre-cooked. Like they cook everything and stuff, so you could microwave it and it's fine. But I brought it in here and you're like, hell no, you're not getting me to eat andouillette and telling me it's boudin. But the point is, you got to kiss a couple frogs if you're going to find a prince. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. So like
you ate the frog backwards though, and that's just
frog legs are delicious.
I love frog legs.
So all of this to say, I'm going to experiment. Not everything's going to be a home run, but at the end of the day, in 20 years, when I've traveled most of the countries and tried most of the food, I'm going to know if I like stuff or not, and I'm going to be able to recommend some badass food to other people. That's what I like doing.
Don't eat the andouillette in France.
Depends on if I like you or not. If I don't like you, I'm like, you should get that andouillette. It's delicious.
Then we'll know that Durango. That's how we'll know. Like, oh, Aaron doesn't like that person.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah. That's my subtle jab at him. So,
what about so you've taken a pretty interesting journey in the last year, from a physical perspective, as well. And I think you and I are similar in a lot of ways. Where there's like we'll have a year of staying pretty focused on physical fitness, and then
kind of fall off for a little while,
off, all that kind of stuff. But you've made reference of 75 hard a couple of times now. But explain a little bit about what that was, and then more specifically what it was for you, because this wasn't just like a diet and workout thing. This was a real mindset, or almost mind control.
Yeah, they're talking
Exercise.
about it's not just a physical exercise, it's a mental exercise. And I felt like I was in a place where, I was just kind of going through the motions, the same things over and over, and it was very redundant. And I just needed to shake things up, and I've said it, like, get fucking uncomfortable, because you're in the same zone. And my friends have been trying to get me to do this thing called 75 hard. And I was like, they told me what it was, which 75 hard is 2 workouts a day for 45 minutes. One of them has to be outside. Not 43 minutes, not 44 minutes. You can look up Andy Frisella, and it's got, all of the information if you really want to dig into this ever. But it's 45 minutes for each one. One indoor, it doesn't have to be indoor. You can do both outdoor, but at least one has to be outdoor. And then you have to drink a gallon of water, which I think is the hardest part, like especially at the beginning while you're getting used to it. I drink a gallon of water, can't miss a drop, gallon of water every day. You have to read a nonfiction book for at least 10 minutes, or 10 pages, for at least 10 pages. Eat healthy, no cheap meals, no snacks. No.
Did you say no cheap meals or cheat?
Cheat.
Cheat, okay.
Yeah, zero cheat meals, gotcha. Zero bullshit. No alcohol. And then you got to take a photo every day, a progress photo, because, you look at yourself and you're like, oh, I look the same, because you just looked at yourself yesterday. But if you look at starting point and ending point, so they really want you to get those things in there. And you do that every single day for 75 days straight. No days off at all. So I decided to do it. My friends have been trying to talk me into doing it, and I made jokes out of it because I was like, it sounds like a lot of work.
Why did you decide to do it finally?
Okay, I was just in the zone where I was like, I felt like I needed to shake things up. I just was in the same zone of doing the same things, and I wasn't really reaching for anything. And I needed to make myself uncomfortable to kind of step out of my comfort zone, create some new habits, positive habits, different things. And so it was a weird thing, because it's one of those things that you have to be in the mindset for. It was a mental decision. One day I was just like, you know what? I'm fucking doing it. The next day I started, I just started doing it, and then I was in, and I had made the decision that I'm not going to fail, because there's a lot of people that'll start and they'll fail and then they'll restart and they'll fail. I was like, if I fail and don't complete one of my things for the day, I probably won't restart.
Right.
So I'm doing it the first time to prove myself that I can. And I just started, and I went really hard for like the first 30 days. And I even added some other stuff. Like, I didn't have any soda. I took vitamins. I took supplements. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to make the most of it type of deal. Right. And I did all of this stuff. And then about 30 days in, I was like kind of hitting a wall a little bit. I'm like, oh man, like this is a lot. I still got 45 days. At that point, I was like, okay, I got to take some easy days. Like, I can't just go ham. I was running a 5K in the morning before work, and then going to the gym for about 45 minutes to an hour, either in the middle of work or after work. And that for 30 days straight is probably more than your body needs. So I was like, I started walking some days. Like, if I was doing chest at the gym that day, I would walk a lap and then do some push-ups, and then walk a lap for my outside workout. Or if I was doing back, I'd walk a lap, do some pull-ups, walk a lap, do some pull-ups. Some days, Sundays, I like to do yoga, like a stretching yoga on Sundays, which that's really not easy. Stretching yoga is a little bit easier. Like, you can do some yoga that's like, oh man, like I'm covered in sweat. Like, that wasn't the relaxation day that I thought it was going to be. But I started mixing it up a little bit more, and ended up getting all the way through 75 hard. Had some massive results. I ended up gaining 4 pounds, but I lost 25% of my total body fat, and then gained skeletal muscle mass, and just was a lot healthier all around. Obviously 75 days, no drinking, gives your body a chance to kind of recover from, alcohols and things like that. It takes like 30 days, I think, for your liver to start regenerating if you've drank too much. So it's just all around super healthy. And now I don't stick to that regimen, but I work out a couple days a week still. I eat pretty healthy. I still try to drink more water. It's developed some very good positive habits. And then not only that, though, I think the cooler part is other people did it. Like, just like I was inspired by my friends, we had some people at the office do it that had really good results, and I think they inspired other people to do it. So it's really contagious. And now I think everybody's decided to, like, March, beginning to middle of March, we haven't set an exact date yet, but we're going to do an office one where obviously not everybody, but the people that want to, we can all do it together and have a support system and stuff. And I think that's really good to do once a year. And that's what I'm going to start doing.
I love the component of this that is the mental sharpness.
Yeah.
It's fun on the physical side of things, and we'll post a before and after if you're okay with it. We'll find out. Maybe we edit the last 5 seconds.
No, we can put it. I already posted them on the internet. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's part of the accountability of it. Is
well, it's cool because you can see that difference, and but on the mental side, it's not easily as seen unless you're close to an individual. But what I'll say from my perspective is your mental sharpness has shifted and has increased as much as any other muscle that you had that you worked out. And it's really cool to see that. Just the way that you carry yourself in general now is actually quite a bit different. I was really proud of you that you were able to accomplish that. And 75 days of doing something over and over, especially that rain, snow, sleet, or shine, that outside workout. And I mean, you did it. There was days I remember texting like, "Are you actually out there?" And you'd send me pictures and
running in the rain. I worked the system. I'm not gonna lie. Like I look at the weather and I'm gonna be like, raining tonight, I'll do my outside workout right now.
Nothing wrong.
Or if it was raining in the morning, I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna do it. But there was a couple times with just events and things that we had going on that I was running in the rain at 10:30 at night. So I mean, it's just part of the deal. But I'll tell you what, as crappy as that sounds, like when you do it and you complete it, you feel invigorated.
Yeah.
You're like, your animalistic instinct kind of kicks in a little bit. Like, dude, it feels good actually. You start enjoying it a little bit, like just out there. So yeah, it was really cool. I think just in that 75 days, I think I read 8 books.
Yeah. Next time you do it, in March, there's a great book that I'd recommend called The Compound Effect. And, it talks a lot about that, kind of like what I was just talking about there, where basically, decisions would be easy to be made if you could see, if you're a physically fit person and you took one bite of a Big Mac or something like that and you were instantly overweight and had bad cholesterol and all that kind of stuff, you wouldn't do it.
Right.
But that's not how things work. There's a compound effect a little bit at a time. And it goes the same the other way, but we have to, whether that is from a finance perspective, from a mental well-being perspective, or a physical fitness perspective, be aware of the compound effect that we pay and invest into ourselves.
Yeah.
And 75 Hard's a great example of that.
Yeah. The picture's really fortunate because it's cool. Like, just going back, and it stores also, there's an app, and I use the app, and it checks off everything that you do. So it's really helpful because you never forget anything. And like every day I know this is done, boom, day's done. It shows you a calendar where you're at on the calendar, but you can go back and look at all the photos and skip from, 75 days all the way back, or one all the way up to 75. And you really see that it's like a flip book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool, but I mean, it's the same thing. The compound effect is really good. Like I started savings accounts, or actually retirement accounts, for my kids, and my oldest daughter's old enough to kind of to get it. The 8 and the 5-year-old are like whatever, but the 16-year-old, like I had her read a book called The Automatic Millionaire, and it talks about compound interest, and there's a chart on if you start saving at this point, like if you start saving at 18 years old and do $3,000 a year for I think it's like 8 years, which is a total of $24,000 or something like that. And then if you started saving at 24 years old, you would have to put the same $3,000 a year in there for like 25 years to equal the same amount of retirement, just because it started early, and the compound effect. So I had her read that book. I have her retirement account going, and really try to encourage her to be a part of that.
I think, That's an interesting part of life that I feel like a lot of people miss out on, and that I feel like in some ways even myself missed out on a little bit, is really the understanding of a compound effect and doing things early on and not waiting.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not just talking about investing. Great example with the retirement accounts and everything, but whether that be your investment into your time or your talent or whatever the case is, the earlier you can be centered and focused on those things, the better off you'll be.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But at the same time, it's like, I think everybody's different. Me personally, my mindset wasn't really on those type of things when I was younger. I was a single guy running around having fun with friends, and trust me, I wanted to make money, but I wasn't even planning. Like, I could have saved way more than I did. I was having fun spending the hell out of that money that I was making in sales, which is what a lot of sales guys do. And it wasn't until later on that I was like, hold on a second, like this could be put to use way better elsewhere. So
how are you trying to parent differently? Because you came from a family that was business owners and things like that, and so I'm sure you at least maybe were around or heard some of these conversations, and then now you and I are both in the same zone of having teenagers, and then you've got a couple that are younger than mine as well. But like, so how are you gonna handle that as a parent to try to hopefully get them to see that light sooner?
Well, I think
that was me.
Okay, my bad. It's one of those things. I actually didn't have a lot of conversations with my parents about those type of things. So I try to educate my kids a little more than I was. Like I said, I asked Addison I incentivized her. I'm like, hey, read this book and do this. She read The Automatic Millionaire and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and which are, two good books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which are two decent ones. And The Automatic Millionaire is basically a compound interest book about, savings and different things and the way that it works. It's a pretty easy read. But I had her read those, just kind of understand those things, because they don't have classes on it in school. Like, nobody, unless your parents.
That bums me out.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, with all the stuff, like, you think they would have that by now.
I don't understand why they don't, or even like how to
balance a checkbook.
I was gonna say write a check or anything like that. Like teaching life skills.
Yeah,
I'm not being critical of teachers or anything along those lines. My wife was a teacher, and she's still.
Well, it's not teachers. They teach what they're given, the curriculum.
You know what? If you're a board member at a school district, no, I'm just teasing.
That's right. You get it now.
Please still like and subscribe.
But no, it's so I'm just trying to educate up front. I think it's going to depend a little bit too. Like, Addison's going to be super easy. And then I have the younger two, which are going to be a little more wild, and they want to spend stuff. Like, Addison doesn't really want to spend too much money. Mm-hmm. The kids want to buy everything that you can find. Like, can I have this? No. Can I have this? No. Like, if you gave them a $20 bill, like, it would be gone.
Yeah.
Like, with the dumbest stuff that they would never, ever use after the first day. So I think I got my job cut out for me. I got to do a little more education and stuff with them. I'm trying to set them up for when they come of age, they're in a better spot too. So I just added Addison to all my credit cards, and I didn't give her all of them. I just added her to the accounts, and then I gave her one, because I trust her, that she can use in case of emergencies. But I added her to all my credit cards, because then it reports to, not on every single card, but like, I added her to 6, I think. I'm sure 3 or 4 of those are going to report to her credit report. And then it also gives all of this back stuff. So, like, the payments that I've been making on time for 4 years or 5 years or 6 years or however long I've had that credit card now is on her credit score. So now when she gets to 18, she'll have a savings account, she'll have a retirement account, and she'll have a hopefully 700 credit score or something like that. I don't know if you get a 700 out of the gate by doing that, but just certain things like that.
I remember being 18 trying to get my first apartment, and it was really difficult because I didn't have good enough credit, but I couldn't get credit because I didn't have credit but
Yeah.
it didn't have good credit
Yeah.
because it didn't have credit.
It's the joke. It's the joke.
so
It's the
stupid.
joke. Like, hey, you don't have enough experience or whatever. Like, how am I supposed to get 40 years experience? I'm 18 years old. And then they have this guy, and they're like, oh, you're too experienced for this job. Exactly. It's like, what, who are you hiring? Right. But no, I get what you're saying, and that's kind of the point of all of this. It's like they tell you. I did the same thing, and I think they're like, go get a prepaid credit card, buy a pack of socks and underwear each month, and then pay it off on time. And like that's how they're telling you to build credit. Now you can actually self-report like your utilities and different things like that to your Experian credit report. So you can self-report some different things to get some stuff in there. This thing that we've done with credit cards is a good way to do it. If you trust your kids to add them to certain things, then you can do that.
Yeah, and even if you add them to the card, you don't necessarily have to give them the card either.
Oh, no.
Just,
Addison, not that I don't trust her, but Addison's got one. Because, like, what if she lost her purse? There's no reason for me to give her 6 credit cards. She doesn't need them, period. So she's got the one with, I think, the lowest possible balance on it that could do the least amount of damage if the card company wouldn't reverse it or whatever. Sure. So, man, I don't even know how we got here. What were we talking about?
We got into compound effect and
just kind of went down a rabbit hole from there.
No, but I think that's good. Again, all of these kinds of things. One thing that's important to you and I both is legacy and impacting those around us, which obviously includes our kids
for sure
and our families. And so when we, you and I are both committed, it's there's not many nights where you and I aren't texting 10:30 or 11 or whatever, like, hey, I just read this, or hey, I just found this. We need to do this, or we need to do that.
Ideas.
These types of ideas to help either set our kids up for success or others around us, people that we work with. That's one thing of many that I value in our relationship is that constant thirst for knowledge and how we could do things a little bit different. I've been around smart people for a very, very long time, and there's been some things that that I've learned that they've been doing for years and years and years, but I never picked up on it. And then I was like, hey, why didn't you tell me that you were doing this type of charitable contribution fund that can grow and you can give even more to charitable organizations and things like that? Oh, we thought you knew. And so that was a big learning for me. I gotta ask more questions, like, hey, what kind of financial strategies do you have going on right now? And it's actually really fun because once you start asking those questions, in a lot of situations, you can turn things around pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You can turn things around pretty quickly.
Information, man. And there's so much access to information around. Like, obviously, relationships is huge. You got guys you can ask, but just, there's tons of different avenues and online classes and YouTube videos and just so much content out there that's flying through the universe. Just make sure it's good content. It's not wrong information.
Exactly.
Absolutely. If you're not trying to improve, like, that's why we text and do these things. It's like, why would you not want to try to improve something, even just a little bit, like one little thing each week or each month or each day or whatever it is? By the time that compounds, look at that full circle, man, full circle. By the time that compounds, then we're 150, 200, 300% better than we were 5 years ago. What was the saying? The difference between you now and the difference between you and 5 years is the people you talk to and the books you read.
You got, man, see,
stealing
does my heart well.
But that's what it comes down to. You just have to take, it doesn't have to be insane. It doesn't have to be 75 hard. You don't have to read a book every day. Just a little bit to something to improve. You hear an idea that you think works. Say what you said in the meeting this morning.
About knowledge?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Knowledge. Everyone says that knowledge is power. It is not. Durango, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power.
Applied knowledge is power.
You can know everything you want to know. You have access to everything you want to have access to, which we're lucky enough to live in a time that we do. Yep. But if you don't apply that knowledge, like the 75 hard stuff, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, I know that if I lift weight, I eat better and
drink water
and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to be healthier. Cool, you know it. But it wasn't until you did it that there was a change.
And somebody walks back in and you haven't changed much. Well, no, I know how to do 75.
Yeah.
Or I know how to do. It's like, it's absolutely acting on these things. And so just little piece by piece, I always try to improve my life, the people's lives here at the office. Like if we can do something better at the office that makes it easier for them, something in my kids' life that'll make their life a little easier for them later on down the road, and position them better. So like, yeah, all of that's just the stuff that we try to do.
That's cool. So we started off with talking about some of the things that we enjoy doing and all of that. Let's end that way. Let's each answer the question, what's one thing you want to do in the next 12 months on the play harder side of things?
Trick you into eating andouillette sausage. No.
That is not a good plan.
On the play harder side, I'm actually really looking forward to February, where we're going to Arizona.
That's going to be fun.
That'll be on the play harder side. We're going down there to meet with our marketing people, and I talked to them, and they introduced us to this place where you can actually dogfight in jets against each other. So Adam's going to be in a jet. I'm going to be in a jet. We obviously have instructors in them with us to make sure that we hopefully don't die. But we take a class.
Let's focus on the not die part.
Yeah. So we take a class for a couple hours, and then we get in there, and then we actually get to dogfight each other somehow. And so once I win that, which I will, mark my words, then I'm going to get out. And
this better not be like the go-kart thing where we can tip the people in charge to have the better, like,
you are the one that tipped the people.
No, I know.
You are the tipper.
I'm just saying let's hope that we can't do that with airplanes, because I want a fair dogfight. I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So I already took that one. So what are you doing on your play harder side?
We've got a couple things planned, but I really want to. I'm trying to schedule a golf trip. I talked earlier on, with the kids, and I want a friend of mine has done this for years and years with his kids, where every year they get to pick a sporting event of their choosing, and they fly to Nebraska to go watch some team in Nebraska play.
The Cornhuskers?
I don't know why I picked Nebraska. I don't even know a team there, but we'll go down to see the Florida Gators or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to do that with golf. That's what I like about I'm a terrible golfer. I do have fun with it sometimes.
I don't think you're that bad. I think you're pretty good, actually. I say that because he's a little better than me.
He's a terribler.
I'm a more terriblerly golfer. Yeah.
But what I want to start doing, and they don't even know this yet, but I've kind of thought about it and planned some things out. Like I want to say, all right, now that they're getting older, we're getting older. This is something that we can continue to do for years and years and years together. So. Yeah. Let's pick a golf course somewhere in the country to go play golf together.
Why don't you guys do
we're not going to start off with like Pebble Beach or something like that. Like we're still going to be playing some city courses and stuff like that until we get a little bit better.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that's it's not golf, but that's what we've transitioned to for Christmas for our kids, because like they've got toys and stuff, and it's like they don't really need toys, and I feel like anything we buy them is just a total waste of money.
Yep. And
they're not going to remember it. So we transitioned to trips. So, hey, we're going to take you down to Florida in the middle of winter, and we got a place with a pool. And like last time, we just got an Airbnb with a pool. Didn't even do a bunch of stuff, but they love swimming, and it was hot in the middle of winter. So, I think the trips is awesome because those are things that your kids will remember forever.
Right.
They're not going to remember a pair of jeans you bought them, but they'll remember the time that you guys all went to whatever together.
Maybe one day we will be good enough to play Pebble Beach. We'll see.
I think it was Bert Kreischer. He had a conversation about that. He was on a podcast.
Playing there or something?
He took his dad to play on Pebble Beach, and his dad has some back issues or whatever, but ended up eating a bunch of gummies, and then was so high.
Oh my gosh!
That he had to stop playing after 3 holes, and Bert was so mad because he went down there. He spent all this money on Pebble Beach, and his dad got so high that he had to leave because he took his medical gummies or whatever. He overdosed on them type of deal. Not funny. Overdose, but you know what I'm saying. I got you. So cool.
Well, that's cool. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for listening to us talk about some things that are important to us, and we hope that you really take some time to think about some of the things that we talked about, especially when it comes to the compound effect how could you apply that to your life? Financially, physically, mentally, but it never starts. Go back to that. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power, and it doesn't really start until you start.
Take one step.
Yeah, take that first step. So be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate you.
And if anybody would like to message me, I'll give you Adam's mailing address. You can send him all the andouille sausage. Andouillette. Sorry, it's got to be andouillette.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and just send him all.
Not going to happen.
I'm kidding. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.